we are also recording this particular meeting for our internal purposes as well. For later on for us, we can always review back on the session for this. All right. So after this session, what we're going to do is after the introduction, we're going to have implement some sort of housekeeping as well, rules. Right. Feel free to chat in the session. Please go ahead and if you have a video camera, don't be afraid. You can turn it on so that we can see each other as well. So that Asad here, when he gives a presentation, you don't feel so looking at the screen, right? You're able to have some sort of dynamics. You're able to see interaction with the participants. Would be great. But during the session between 4:10 to 4:45, where Asad here is presenting, the speaker will be presenting. Hope that you guys are able to have certain set of questions. Go ahead and put it in the live chat. So the team here will help to moderate the question, where we're going to have it at 4:45 to 5 o'clock. So we have some sort of Q&A session. You have thoughts in mind, just go ahead, put in a chat there, and then we will take it in the Q&A session, right? Okay, so the next thing, just a quick start about Hubspot user group, because you like hearing like, hey, Aaron was talking about like Hubspot, what is it about, right? So Hubspot user group is basically, we have three key elements of the this particular virtual meeting. Generally, we used to have it in a physical space. We have like for the past 2 years, around in the location somewhere in KL, but during this time, this pandemic time, you should have it on virtual itself. So thank you very much again for joining a session. For Hub, is basically what we're looking at is basically to connect with your local community. The objective of it, right, is basically to share experiences as a marketer using HubSpot systems, or people who are using other systems as well in general, to share each other experiences in the chat session. That's why it'll be great if, let's say, you're able to introduce yourself in the chat. Just take it as like kind of like a forum where you guys are able to share your thoughts and hear from experienced leaders as well. We will always get in speakers from different sessions, especially after this session. You have a survey form. Feel free to fill up the survey form, because the survey form will help us to identify what topics do you want in the future upcoming events, right? And then in our Hub user group, our last objective is to leave you guys with actionable areas so that you can help you grow better. How can you take all the learning from different speakers or different experts in the field and adopt it in your current business, right? So that's our main objective as the Hubspot user group. So what you see here on screen is basically a Facebook group as well, because we do understand that some of you might not have a lot of times to go through the entire session. Do feel free to join the Facebook group, where we also share the slides and also the recording later on as well, right? Yep. Oh, really? So can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear just fine.
Yeah, I think, okay. So, all right, Ken, I think maybe on your end, if just say you look at this, a bit of housekeeping rules again. So here, feel free, if just say if you are not on mute, feel free to mute this, or moderators will do that. Turn on your video webcam so that we make the session more interactive. And last of all, use the chat function to chat with other people within the panelists as well, right? You can also chat with a private chat in this group session. And I think that's it from my end. I will introduce Asad. Asad, thank you for coming on as a speaker in this particular session, taking off your busy time. What we want to have is a bit introduction of Asad right here today. So basically, Asad Zulfahri, he's basically have a bit of experience. He has, I think, more than a decade of experience in terms of SEO and marketing experience, right? I believe you're currently leading the team in pricing, the search strategy for HubSpot. Basically, pricing is a component within HubSpot, a company within HubSpot, and he's very well known, with other tech giants, like for example, Monster Worldwide, Zapier, for example, and all other Silicon Valleys, right? And I think you're one of the travelers as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Asad. I think you traveled more than like 30 plus countries. I think you visited more than like 150 plus countries, right? And you have a lot of experience, right? Experience in terms of like remote culture, working, remotely, have all these kind of vast experience of traveling, right? And I believe you also like to connect with a lot of people, like professionally as well, right? So in having this case, Thank you very much again for having you in this session. This is where our stack starts here. So I'll pass on over to you, Asad. So I'll stop sharing my screen and you just can take over. Right. Welcome.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me all right and you can see the slides that I'm sharing.
Yep. Sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's get started then. So yeah, a little bit of background about me as well. So yeah, I was born and raised in Malaysia. I actually studied computer science at Sunway University. And I've done SEO for almost a decade now. I actually started in high school. So, and I've just recently grown into the broader marketing role from SEO. And I've been on the agency side, I've been on the in-house SEO side. And also for the past few years, I've been doing a lot of freelance consulting for Silicon Valley companies. So I understand the different SEO strategies that's needed to grow companies to the next level, obviously. And for the past 3 years, I've been traveling around, working with companies in North America and Europe. Fortunately, I'm not able to travel anymore, but I am currently living in Belgium and working with PySync and Hubspot. So PySync actually got acquired by Hubspot last November. So I joined the Hubspot team with the acquisition as well. So yeah, I put in my social tags there. You see a QR code. Open up your phones, scan it, and let's get connected to LinkedIn just in case if you have any follow-up questions after this event. All right, the agenda. So today we're going to be covering the following topics: team management. This is important to highlight because it's really critical to have a clear framework of communication, documentation, project management, and reporting your progress. And then we'll go through surround sound SEO to explore the different content types that will help you be present everywhere in a buyer's or user's journey. And then we'll go through content strategy to understand what is a pillar content. I'm not sure if a lot of you have heard of this concept before. So we're going to go through that. SEO Toolbox as well. It's important to see what the tools that we are using, and I have some tools that I'll definitely want to recommend to help you accelerate SEO campaigns and also save you time. So team management. After working with over a dozen companies in the past 3 to 4 years, I noticed a common struggle. Everyone struggles with managing resources, right? Whether you're a solopreneur, one-man show, a small startup, or even at the enterprise level. Communication, project management, and reporting is always something that needs improving, right? So based on my experience, I'm going to show you the basic framework that I found to be the most effective for our companies. So let's start with communication and documentation. Now, I know a lot of people are already used to emails. And over the recent years, a number of like asynchronous communication platform has arrived, such as Slack. And I find Slack much better than email, especially internal emails, because Slack allows information to be searchable by everyone. Like channels on the left sidebar there can be organized by departments or projects, and it makes it easier when onboarding a new hire or bringing in someone new to a project. They can get up to speed on projects quicker because all of the past conversations are actually searchable. So you don't have to like forward those like massive email threads. And then even before that, you have to find those massive email threads to forward, right? So with Slack, that's not an issue anymore. Day-to-day operations are definitely much more visible with team members checking in their work progress. And then you can pin important documentation and meeting notes to a channel. So effective usage of Slack brings efficiency to how a team or a company operates, because it allows anyone to access information about your work progress without waking you up in the middle of the night. And this is especially important if you're working with teams around the world in different time zones. Another common thing that often gets overlooked is a project management board, especially for marketing or SEO teams. And usually within those marketing or SEO teams, not many even have like a content calendar, right? You have a website, content is definitely one of the major plays, but you don't have it. Um, so if you don't know what a content calendar basically gives you an overview what the content plan is for the site for at least for the next 12 months in average. It's important to have this, especially when we're doing topic cluster planning. If you haven't heard of it, we'll actually get into this later. Um, and looking at the slide here, this is how a typical content calendar should look like. This is what we actually use at PySync. Um, and looking at the first kind of like column, we have the ideas section. And I think everyone in the company should have access to this section, especially your customer support team, because they are the ones who are actually in the front line with the customers, right? So they deal with all of the day-to-day pain points of customers. So invite them to the board, encourage them to put in topics or questions that's being frequently asked by customers, so that you can plan to create um, additional content on the blog, or expand on the existing content on the knowledge base or your help docs into the blog. And then next to it in the middle, we have the to write section. For this, have the SEO team review those ideas so that they can actually do research on it, and then potentially expand on those specific ideas to create like more pillar content and topic clusters. And we'll cover that later in this presentation today as well. And then at the end, on the bottom right corner there, once it's published, you need to keep track of all of the published content. Once it's published, doesn't mean you can just let them go. Fingers crossed. You need to keep track of content performance after a week, 30 days, 90 days, and so that you can keep tweaking as necessary when you're looking at the analytics. And we'll actually go through the process on how to do proper content audit. So reporting. So also something that's not really common in marketing SEO teams, especially smaller teams. You need to be accountable, and being accountable means having a system or a dashboard that's consistent and that can deliver reliable reports. It doesn't matter if you're using Google Data Studio, Periscope, Looker, Chart.io. The important thing is to create a dashboard or report that is automated and scalable. And definitely avoid wasting time manually inputting data into spreadsheets. I know it seems way easier, but you actually waste a lot of time if you add on all of the hours every week and every month. So invest time and money, of course, to set up a scalable platform that can grow with you from startup or even to an enterprise level. So when creating a reporting or a dashboard, you definitely want to keep track of the high-level KPIs, right? Such as sessions. So session not only gives you insights on your growth, but also any potential spikes. It can be a negative or positive spike, so that you can actually monitor content performance and then tweak them necessary, right? Content is all about always tweaking them to match the user expectation. And then we have bounce rate. Bounce rate basically lets you know whether your content delivers on users' expectation. The common thing I see a lot is that a lot of sites use clickbaiting. My advice is avoid clickbaiting because it's just not worth it for the long-term brand experience or brand reputation. And Google knows, especially if you're using Google Analytics, when people bounce out after clicking on a search result. So if they see that a lot, you might get, sorry, that was my like Google Home
can improve. It would help to know how
talking.
satisfied you are with my response. How
That's
would you
weird.
rate it if one's the worst
Let me just
and
mute
five's
for
the
one
best?
second. All right, I'm back. So avoid clickbaiting because it's just not worth it for your long-term brand reputation. So, and then another metric that you definitely want to keep track is the average session duration. So this lets you know how engaged users are with your website. Are they clicking through? Once they land on the site, are they clicking through the other links or resources on the website? And if you notice, if people are leaving under 30 seconds, something must be wrong with your content. So that's why you need to have a dashboard and reporting system to monitor content and tweak them as necessary, right? And then if you see at the bottom left, split your session data to reflect all of the different sections of your website. And so that, this lets you know where the bulk of your traffic comes from. And keeping track of this on a day-to-day or weekly basis can actually help you get ahead of any accidental SEO errors, whether it being, you just updated your CMS, you just launched a new landing page, or you just, um, added like a new code on the site. So definitely very important to keep track of this. And on the top right, you see a table of top landing pages, right? So this table of top landing pages, I really like to see um, on a weekly basis, so that you can quickly see, and once you publish a post, how quickly they rank up to the table here, so that you can see whether it's a top performing content or not. And then on the bottom right, you'll see the worldwide traffic sources. And having a world view map lets you know where your users are coming from, so that if it's relevant to your business, you can tailor your content to match the specific regional expectations. Let's get into the nitty and gritty details on the actual SEO stuff that we do at Hubspot, and what I do for my clients. Surround sound SEO. Um, so surround sound SEO is the practice of being absolutely everywhere in the buyer's journey, and I'll show you where specifically shortly. It's being everywhere in the buyer journey, so that you reach your potential customers from the Google search results. And the three types of content and surround SEO is as follows, right? Owned. So owned is basically properties and pages that you control, typically your website. And then earned are third-party websites or properties that you don't have control over. And then finally, we have paid, which is similar to earned content, but it actually requires you to pay, whether it being creating an affiliate program or having to pay a fee to be included in a marketplace review listing. So let's see the owned content types. So owned content types, as I said, are all of the different pages and assets on your website. And before even thinking about working on the other content types, you got to make sure you optimize the things that you can control. And from my experience, people love product comparison content because it allows them to quickly find out the pros and cons of different product and services. And most people nowadays will definitely do their own research, by just Googling before they actually purchase a product. For example, let's say for us, someone searches for HubSpot versus MailChimp. Now we would rather have them land on our website than some other third-party site, or worse, the competitor. It's much better for these types of keyword that you take ownership and control by creating these types of landing pages on site. I've taken a table from the actual HubSpot versus MailChimp article that we have on our website. And at HubSpot, our product comparison articles goes into each and every feature. And we're very transparent about the pros and cons here. Sometimes we even let users know when a competitor may be a better fit. Maybe it's because they're looking for a cheaper alternative. Maybe they don't really need the advanced features that HubSpot offers, which is fine. But since they landed on our site first to get the information, once they grow bigger, once they get to the advanced level, they might just come back to HubSpot. So lesson here is that it's not only about acquiring customers, it's also building your long-term brand reputation and being a credible source of information. And then we have earned content types, which is pages that live on properties that you don't control. And it can be an independent website that writes reviews and comparison articles about different services. For example, when someone searches for a Shopee comparison, right? Then we'll see a list of other third-party website that writes an article comparing Shopee with Lazada. So I've taken an example from loanstream.com.my, where they talk about the different aspects of delivery from each services. I tried to find a product comparison page on both Shopee and Lazada. It doesn't exist. They don't compare. They don't have like a competitor comparison page. But other people are writing about it, which is fine. And in terms of SEO, this is actually a really good thing. Not only does the article is topically relevant, but they're also linking back to your website to um, you're getting free links. Who doesn't like a free backlink? And getting like a true genuine backlink can be really, really hard. So if you have a good product and you can actually walk the walk, people will actually take notice and they will happily write about your service. And if you're smart and you've been monitoring your backlinks, with tools such as Ahrefs or Google Search Console, you can actually reach out to the website and maybe build some sort of a content partnership, so that whenever they're thinking about publishing a new type of content on a site, they might feature your site first because you've built that relationship or partnership with them. So that's and then finally we get into the paid content types. So the paid side of things are very similar to earned, but it may involve you actually spending some money to get mentioned, whether it be an affiliate program or giving discounts and vouchers to customers who submit reviews to those third-party websites, or even paying those sites to be listed on your marketplace. And even if we're paying to be listed, it doesn't necessarily mean something shady is happening. A lot of reputable sites, if you want to get listed, you actually have to pay to get listed so that you can add your own branding and then manage all of the relevant pricing information. So reputable websites and publishers or even influencers will always have their own ethical guideline when accepting a fee or payment. Paying doesn't mean you'll automatically get good reviews. And having being listed on these types of website, you also risk getting a negative review. And I'll tell you how you can actually try to prevent it shortly. But getting a negative review is not a bad thing. Think of it as constructive feedback to help you make a better product. So, for example, if someone searches for HubSpot CRM review, and it can be like any kind of whatever product review, you might, if you're a software company or web services company, you might see sites such as G2 or Capterra. And I took a page or example from Capterra. So here's a listing of HubSpot CRM there. And a site like Capterra, they not only provide valuable information such as pricing, features, and reviews, they actually help you in sending leads, actual leads to your website. So they have a vast database or data set of services and the users who actually use those different services. And then based on the various user profiles that they have, they can actually predict which services they need, and Capterra would actually recommend your product. So if you have a presence on review sites like Capterra, make sure you actually make an effort, because you've already paid for to be listed there, right? Make sure you actually make an effort to push existing customers into submitting reviews there. And to minimize the potential of getting a negative review, you should actually go into your customer data and segment your customers. Make sure that you only push customers that are active, that's always using a product, and also have a relatively high NPS scores. You don't want to have a customer that has a low NPS score to be submitting, because you'll definitely get a average or lackluster or even worse, negative review. Because the more positive reviews you get, the higher you rank within these review sites, and the higher chance of being featured at the top of a list, which means you'll get more leads to your website. So why surround sound? When you implement surround sound strategy, the goal is to have your product or services visible absolutely everywhere within the search result. If you can see here, for the keyword Hubspot CRM reviews, we absolutely dominate the first page. Some of it are obvious external sites, some of it are paid marketplaces, some of it are actually our own content, and also earned content. So this way, no matter at what level the buyers or user journeys are, your product is always there, it's always visible. And psychologically, people like familiar things. When you're literally everywhere being mentioned during their research process, even if they don't get your product now, when they come across your product again in the future, they're more likely to choose your product and services because they're already familiar of or have heard about your product. All right, this is one of the most important and exciting parts for me, especially content strategy. Content strategy is definitely one of the most, arguably it's the most important aspects of growing your business and your website. Yet, unfortunately, I see a lot of teams doing it rather poorly. So, based on my experience, let me show you how you can actually get started with planning content the right way, or the organized and scalable way. And I will start with pillar content. So pillar content basically is a high-level informative piece of content that can then be broken down into many other sections or themes. And before we actually dive deeper on what a pillar content is, let me tell you why we actually need to have a content strategy based on pillars. First is conversational SEO. The way people search has definitely changed over the past years. And in turn, that start to change how we, SEOs and bloggers create content. We'll have to adapt. And the typical method of optimizing for one specific keyword doesn't really work anymore because search results are more conversational and they are more personalized to each users. For example, right? If you were trying to find a place to eat sushi, would you rather search for restaurants or would you search for Japanese restaurants near me, right? Obviously, you'll pick the latter. And then we have natural language processing. Google has become like really advanced, up to the point where its uh, intelligence or AI is similar to like a small child. So their natural language processing technology allows Google to better understand the user's search query and the intent behind them. And Google definitely aims to provide the best experience to its users by giving them the most relevant answer to every search query. This is why we need to move away from the typical, single keyword targeting and start generating pillars and topic clusters. And the way most blogs are currently structured, um, is to have someone write an article focused on very specific keyword, and the result is mostly disorganized, and it actually makes it hard for people to find the exact information, which causes a high bounce rate. And this can also cause your blog posts sometimes competing with each other when you create multiple blog posts for similar topics. So let's look at how a topic cluster should look like. So if you look on the right in the middle, a pillar page represented by the middle orange circle within the bigger black circle is the basis on which a topic cluster is built. A pillar page covers all aspects of the topic on a single page with room for more in-depth expansion in a more detailed and separate cluster of blog posts that links back to the pillar page. And pillar pages are typically longer than a blog post or a cluster content. This is because with cluster content, they cover all of the aspects on a high level of the topic that you're trying to rank for. And a pillar page typically answers the high level questions about the topic that leaves room for more detailed explanation in a separate cluster content. And the first step to creating a pillar page is to actually eliminate, thinking about your site in terms of just keywords. Start thinking about the broader topics that you want to rank for first, and then brainstorm the blog topic ideas based on more specific and in-depth keywords that's related to the broader topic. And pillar pages should answer any type of questions or query that a searcher might have about a topic, which will make them want to click on your pillar page um, when they enter a Google search term that your page ranks for. And then they'll also click into your pillar page content cluster page to get answers to their question, which will link out to other specific pieces of content clusters linked on these pages. But pillar pages or clustering content is not the only thing that you should work on. Content on your website are just the tip of the iceberg. Think about where does your audience live for most of the time. They don't like spend 2-3 hours a day just casually browsing on a product site. So think about where they live. Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it Snapchat? Is it Facebook groups? So there's no downside to expanding your content to different platforms. You just need to adjust the messaging, of course, right? So when you've figured out the pillar pages and content clusters, you can then start thinking about expanding your content to different social platforms or channels, and take each pillar cluster content to create a shorter or summarized versions of it, and then distribute them. Because like social is free, it's unlimited, and there's really nothing to lose here. And then next, let's take a look at the content audit. So creating new content is great, but have you actually thought about the existing content that you have? Ask yourself the questions like, when was the first piece of content or blog post that was published? When was the last time you actually updated a blog post that was more than 1 year old? So a content audit is important to keep your website fresh. And Google definitely prefers websites that have relevant and updated information because they want to cater to the users. So how do you actually start reviewing your content assets? So you start by identifying existing content that aligns with your branding, so that you have consistent messaging. And then you identify the ones that has the biggest potential to be converted into an evergreen content. And an evergreen content means that it's content that continues to be relevant long past its publication, so that traffic actually grows over time and it's not just like a one-time thing. And then you look at content that has good performance. If you see duplicates, merge the articles to a single article. And if you decide not to merge, but it's somewhat similar to relevant to another content, set up a redirect. And the one common mistake here that I definitely want to highlight, very common amongst everyone, is there's a tendency to redirect everything that's been deleted into like the homepage, for example, right? Definitely do not do this. When you're auditing the site, if there's no replacement for the content, just simply remove it and let the page side, right? Have it like on a 404, or even better, put it on a status code 410 so that Google can remove the site from your indexes quicker. So here's a chart showing the growth of our pricing blog property. So we actually started to post more consistently after I joined the team in Q3 last year. So from previously, we were publishing 3 to 8 posts per month, and then we've upped the cadence to 20 posts per month. And it was going well until, if you see on the graph, April of this year, we started seeing sessions dropping. So we decided to take a step back and do a full content audit on the blog. Took a few weeks of painstakingly sifting through all the different analytical data points and reviewing over 1,000 articles. And then for the past couple of months, we've started to delete, we've started to update 90 articles. And then we merged or redirected 170 articles. And then we totally deleted and removed, without redirects, 307 articles that have thin content or are like previously, low quality guest posts. And then after we did that, we saw the blog traffic start to pick up back again in September. And even after getting rid of almost 500 articles from the site. And now with just over 500 balanced articles left, the traffic performance, recovery, and growth has been phenomenal. We have another property on pricing that has over 60,000 pages. Yet, the blog with only 500 pages still has 61% more traffic than the 60,000 pages. So this shows that content does still indeed work. And if you want it to continue growing, you need to be, one, consistent in publishing new content, and two, persistent in refreshing the old content. And moving on to the SEO Toolbox. So these are the different types of tools your SEO and marketing team should have access to. And yes, some of them can be expensive, but think of them as a long-term investment. Initial setup can be uh, a challenge and complicated, but I promise you it will pay off. And if you notice, there's a lot of mentions of Ahrefs. It's because it's an industry standard tool that I think everyone should be using. So we at HubSpot also use it. As well as with all of the previous companies I've consulted for and currently consulting, they all use HubSpot. It's because all of these like different tools exist for a reason. They have a large data set, which allows SEO teams to do in-depth research analysis, and they actually save you time by automating and scaling reports and giving you access to historical data. So you should definitely leverage them. And if you're on a tight budget, you can always just start with Ahrefs. Um, so the good news is that Ahrefs recently launched a new free plan. All you have to do is connect with your Search Console account, and then you get access to the site audit tools. And the tool gives you recommendations on steps on how to fix on-page SEO issues. You'll get access to the backlinks data, you get access to the keywords data, you get access to the competing domains data, and also content gap data, which allows you to see how well your content is doing and gives you insight on specific content or keywords that your competitors have that you do not. So now, if you're just starting out and thinking that all of these tools are expensive and you want to find a way on how to do everything yourself for free, then yeah, fine, right? You can learn from Google directly. Use your tools. Google is the leading search engine, and most other search engines follow their lead. So it makes sense for you to learn directly from Google, right? So if you just Google search for Google SEO Guide, you'll find this um, section of the Google Search Central that gives you courses on um, basic SEO and also advanced SEO. So in summary, when it's all said and done, for SEO and marketing, everything revolves around people. It starts internally with how you manage your team and resources, and then understanding where your users live and being present everywhere, while also being transparent with your strengths and weaknesses. You should deliver on users' expectations by making sure your content brings value and are always up to date. And finally, you need to invest in tools that increases efficiency when doing research. So your team will have more time to focus on all the other things that are also important to the business. And then finally, here's a quote by my favorite entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V. So he says, 9 out of 10 times, the right decision is the fastest decision. So it means that you don't have to be perfect. Being perfect actually slows you down. When everyone else is stuck on planning and you decide to start executing, and because you've been executing, you're also actually learning, and you're definitely learning from your mistake much quicker than everybody else, right? Um, and then when you operate on speed, if and when a mistake happens, it's fine because you can always fix the wrong decisions quickly too, right? Um, you know, it's fine that if you do hundreds of things, you fail 200 times, but at the same time you win 230 times, right? When you do stuff, yes, you got a lot of failures, but that's how you learn. And then that's what we HubSpotters always say to each other: whatever you do, make sure that you always use good uh, judgment. And then here's some additional resources that you should look at, and I'm sure Aaron will send you the slides later. And then that's it for this presentation. Thank you very much. And then I guess we'll get into the Q&A.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Asha, for sharing the sessions. So next, I'm going to share my screen. Is more the Q&A session. I think everyone can see on this. Give me a second. Right. So, all right. So guys, I'll be looking at the screen to moderate the session for Asad. In terms of questions, I guess some have questions. Do post in chat here. Maybe perhaps I can kickstart this from my experience from marketer. I would say that generally a lot of businesses, especially the startup ones, right, looking at channel specific, for example, in terms of marketing, SEO, they see there's like doing ads, paid ads and things like that. How do I want to focus on which channel first with a very limited budget, especially the small, micro, or even startups, right? Where do I start in marketing?
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. So the SEO versus paid ads, So ultimately, it's up to the leadership team or the CEO or the business, whether they have the funds to, um, run paid ads. Because I think paid ads can help SEO, right? Because with paid ads, if you spend 10, 20, 30,000 ringgit a month on ads, and then you see which keywords are converting, right? And then you use that data, send it to the SEO team, and let the SEO team build content based on those keywords, so that you don't have to pay 10, 20,000 ringgit anymore on those like keywords, right? Because it moves from paid to SEO. But it's always a balance. The common thing with whenever I work with startups, and especially when they have VC funding, is that I'll ask like, what does your VC want? Like, are they pushing you for short-term KPIs? If they are, paid ads, definitely, right? Or if you have an understanding VC that's there for the long run, definitely have a balance between SEO and paid ads. And I'd say in the beginning, or in the early days of a startup, paid ads can actually gives you quicker insights to help you drive the SEO program in the future.
All right. I think it's a very, very good answer as well, because I do get this a lot, especially the smaller companies or startups who would like to look immediate result against the long-term benefits, right? I think that's something that good area. I do have questions from the crowd here. So if you're looking at Christine, she has something mentioned that how would you suggest going about monetization strategies for websites like affiliate marketing, ads, and etc.?
So monetization, right? For example, I'm assuming Christine is running an affiliate marketing-based website. For example, putting like writing product reviews and then linking them to like Shopee or Lazada, and then if someone buys from your link, you get a commission. So first, it's a very difficult market, but it's not impossible, right? When I think about affiliate marketing, I always think about a website, a US website called the Wirecutter. They do a very good format of doing the product reviews, like a very in-depth product reviews, and once, they'll have like a team of writers that actually try those products and write a review. And then when you go to an article of the Wirecutter, first you'll see the summary, the top three, like, the best product or the cheapest product or the most reliable product. And then below that, they'll go in depth into the actual reviews, talking about the specific features. And that's how you rank on Google in SEO. You have to write in-depth content, right? Going back to the pillar and content cluster strategy. Whereas now for me personally, I trust the Wirecutter so much. When I find a product like the best webcam, the Wirecutter will definitely come out as one of the top search results. When I go in there, I don't even read the in-depth review anymore. I just look at the top 3 suggestions and then based on there. So definitely work on content being as in-depth as possible to whatever that you're promoting.
I think that's a good one. I do have a question from Samantha here as well. She mentioned that how do we check keywords works best for our existing website if Google Search Console wasn't set up? I think that's the first part. And is there any tools to check on the SEO ranking? Free tools, right? Free tools, right? And you're going to compare before and after revamping with the strategy. Yeah. What's your thoughts about this?
Yeah. So if you don't have Search Console, definitely please set it up now. It's free. And a tool, especially if you want to get historical data, Ahrefs. For Ahrefs, you can go into the, I believe it's called the Site Explorer. Just getting any domain, can be your domain, anyone's domain. You actually get, I think historical data up to, I think 2 years or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, depending on whether that data is available, of all of the organic keywords and backlink that they have, so that they actually provide you a graph of like the backlinks, the keywords data before and after, and you can segment between keywords ranking in the first page, second page, or it's in the top 100. So Ahrefs is definitely my go-to tool there.
All right, I think that's a good one. How from Diana, she mentioned that like how many articles per month that we need to produce to rank higher in Google, right? What's the best plugin for WordPress, and can we rely on SEO plugins in general?
How many articles per month? As much as you can. At pricing, we publish one day, so Monday to Friday we have one. At HubSpot, it's multiple times a day, and that's how we grew. As much as you can. Definitely, if you're tight on resource, start with for a month. That's what I typically start with my clients. And then once you have enough budget, once you see content that's growing, you start tweaking. You start to understand more, what types of keywords or topics that people are interested in. Then you move on to daily publishing. The best SEO plugins for WordPress. I'd say the typical answer would be all-in-one SEO or Yoast. However, there's one like new and upcoming plugin called Rank Math. Definitely check that out. They actually just released like a pro version, but the Rank Math free basic version is basically just the pro version of Yoast. So I definitely recommend if you're using Yoast or all-in-one SEO to migrate over into Rank Math. And SEO plugins are definitely you should definitely rely on them because it allows you to manage your CMS or WordPress easier and then figure out making sure you're not making the typical mistakes of forgetting to include to optimize your title, or you can also let if you're spamming the content too much with keywords, so that make sure you're not breaking any of the common SEO rules.
All right. I think the next one is Mish. Like, how consistent will you recommend for a site to be updated, and how long it start to get rankings? And does the traffic to website affect rankings?
Yeah, again, as consistent as possible. Whenever you're writing content, you want to write content that's for the long term. What we call evergreen content. And for you to get rankings, it's kind of difficult to say because it depends, right? You need, unfortunately, backlink still plays a part in getting traffic, because the more links that you get, it's a small signal, but it's part of the initial signal that Google gets of how important or how reliable a website is, right? And then for traffic, yeah, it definitely affects rankings, especially a bounce rate. We've done several tests where we'll create like a brand new site, 0 backlinks, and then we started clicking on it on this pages. We manually search and then found the sites and clicked on it, and then we saw suddenly, even with no backlinks, the site started ranking for keywords that we want, that we are targeting for those landing pages. So the more clicks that you can get to a site will definitely give you better traffic by having a better ranking there. But for the long term, like I said before, avoid clickbaiting, because then Google will see the bounce rate and then your site will get like penalized.
Yeah, all right. I think we have last 3 questions, right? So hope you're able to get this. One is the main one, right? You mentioned that Hanum is building up a content outside of English language. right? As example, Malay language, right? They do face challenges when the usage of the slang or informal of it, right, due to the nature of the language. What would you suggest to improve the SEO content, outside normal native English?
So this is again a very complicated one. It's just because so when you're doing SEO for languages other than English, what we're lacking is data, right? So if I'm doing SEO for a website based on the Malay language, I definitely go into keyword research directly into the Google Ad tool. But I think Google Ads, they're actually planning to remove access to those data. But Ahrefs and SCM Rush, all of these other tools, they have their own way of figuring out. But obviously, those tools are kind of international tools, except for Ahrefs. I think they are a Singaporean company. You'll need to um, use tools that are most like directly related or controlled by the search engine such as Google, right? I'm afraid I can't really like give more information because personally I haven't done any site optimizations on like the Malay language. I've mostly been doing English language based website.
All right. And the second last one will be any tips to write effective meta tag of description? Asad, I think the mic is not working for
Sorry,
you.
thank you for letting me know. So meta tag descriptions, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I know it's one of the like the basic SEO rules, but if you notice, even if you write like a meta description, for Google, it's just a suggestion. Like Google will eventually just take, they have advanced AI and NLP, right? They'll take a look at the content and they'll pick the most relevant snippet from your content to put as a description on a Google search result. So I say, don't worry about it. As long as your actual content that you're writing is good, that's fine. If you have a good meta description but your content is shit, like you're not gonna rank, right? So make sure your content is good. Don't worry about meta description. Definitely optimize your title tag and make sure your content is good.
Does it work as well? Like for example, the meta description, I do see some try to hack there. I put the call to action in the meta description as well.
Sorry, what action?
Like I'm putting a call to action, like for example, click here
Oh yeah,
in the landing page.
yeah. That's it doesn't bring any value. If Google sees it, right? If they show your actual like, meta description, it most likely means your content is not good enough, which is why they're showing the meta description that you've set. But if your content is actually good enough and it's in depth, they will ignore the meta description and actually take a snippet of your content to be as the description that you see on a Google search. So having CTAs on this meta description doesn't work.
All right.
However, putting CTAs on the title, it does work. Google, I think for now, at least now, they do not override whatever title that you've set. So having CTAs on the title might work.
Oh, that's a very good insight. All right, that's good. I think the last question. So from Christine, for a company that's launching a whole new website, what is the best way they can pinpoint keywords that will rank well in SEO? And how can we monitor the articles that are written to be SEO optimized?
Well, starting a new website can be very difficult. The main thing is that whatever product or services that you're doing, there's definitely competitors, right? Look at the competitors' website, put in their domain names in Ahrefs, and they'll give you all of the data about their top content, their top backlinks that are coming from, their top keywords that they're ranking from, and then use that, look at their stuff, and try to do 2 or 3 times better than them. And in order to like monitor articles that are written to be SEO optimized, I'd say writing an article. Again, Google is a small child, right? If you're writing about something, if you give it to a small child, will they understand it? I think that's a bar that you should set, right? Make the content obviously as in-depth as possible, but also as simple as possible, because people when you're reading content, you don't want content that's fluffy. Like you want you read something, get to the point, and be done with it. So that's my like advice in terms of don't think about writing SEO optimized content like putting stuffing keywords. That's not the way to go. And then monitoring articles, yeah, definitely, Google Analytics, and then setting up specific reports in Google Data Studio, which is free for everyone to use. But also, if you're paying for Ahrefs, Ahrefs actually monitors. They'll aggregate all of the data from search engines, and you can see the top performing content for your website, and then you can see actually like a graph whether it's going up and down for specific content.
Yeah, I think that's a very good insight. Like I totally agree as well, because when it comes to writing the content, it's very important to understand the buyer persona again, who is you are targeting, and write towards the level of sophistication what you're looking for as well, right? I do know certain industries requires a lot of like what do you call a lot of technical terms, or sometimes a lot of abbreviations, for example. But I think it's fine. It's good to get ranked for. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. For example, like, I've worked at Zapier, right? Well, the typical, some of the typical customers are are developers who wants an automated, no-code solution, and our knowledge base was like very, very technical, right? So when you're searching for something technical, Zapier will come up. Similarly, sometimes, when developers have a problem, they type something technical, usually Stack Overflow will come out first.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing. So you're understanding the buyer's persona on your targeting, because Google has a profile of everyone that uses their services. They know who you are. They know, like what your level of proficiency is, and then they'll try to match, whatever search that you're doing to the website.
All right. I think that sums it up for our Q&A session. Thank you very much, Asha, for today's session again, for sharing all your insights. And next but not least will be more on the survey forms, for example, right? So guys, what you see on screen here is basically a survey, which you can just take up your phone, whip up your QR code, scanner, for example, just take this so that we are able to, get a survey, understand what meets your requirement better. Right. There's a link as well in the chat as well. So the teams actually put it in. Feel free to fill up the survey so that we want to understand what more contents that we want to bring on to the next session of our Hubspot user group for Kuala Lumpur, right? And not only that, the copy of the slides and all the recording and will be in this as well. And I think thank you. This sums the entire session. Thank you very much, everyone. And yep. So yeah, feel free to connect with Asad as well. Right. Thanks, Asad, for the session.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right. Bye.